So it finishes Arsenal 3, Bayern Munich 1. Let's take a look at the table, shall we? Because that confirms that Arsenal are the only team now. Just squint, Robbo. Put your glasses on.
Yeah, it's a long way away, that one.
Arsenal are the only team left in the competition who've won every single game, with Inter losing today against Atletico Madrid. For more on this tie, let's welcome in, shall we, Jurgen Klinsmann. Jurgen, we said it after the weekend and we'll say it again today. Another brilliant performance from Arsenal.
Yeah, I think we saw a very, very good game there of two sides there, probably among the best in Europe or in the world. Highly entertaining. I mean, the goals came in a certain way where we can certainly discuss a little bit if it was a foul on Manuel Neuer or not. You know, probably in England they wouldn't give a foul. In Germany they would give a foul. It depends a bit how the referees are judging something like that. But then, obviously, in the second half, a fantastic Arsenal side, you know, that also, you know, produced other chances as well, not only the ones that we just saw. I mean, the goal that Manuel Neuer at the end conceded is a bit, you know, that's his style of play. He's always high up. I think the backline was even far into the Arsenal side there. And it's a bit risky, and here and there you concede a goal like that, but it was already 2-1 at that point. But a highly entertaining game, a good game. I think the goal that Bayern Munich scored, you know, with the long ball from Kimmich into Gnabry, he one touch over to Leonard Karl, who is one of the biggest talents at the moment in European football, not only in Germany, in European football. And the question is, a little bit in Germany, is can he make it already maybe towards the national team for the World Cup next summer in the United States? It's a huge, huge talent. He scores that beautiful goal. But I think overall that Arsenal deserved the win.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be a super player, isn't he? But I think what we've seen from Arsenal this season, and certainly albeit the Sunderland game, where they dropped points, was a bit of an anomaly for them, particularly from a leading position. Was the opposite of what Liverpool have, and I know we're going to get to them. At the moment, their confidence is getting sapped, and Arsenal are just building momentum. You know, the big win and a big statement in the North London derby, it was one-way traffic pretty much until Zubimendi gave the ball away and Richarlison scored the great goal. And this game ebbed and flowed in the first half until Arsenal really flexed their muscles. You know, they can make the changes. They had much more on the bench than Bayern. Obviously, Calafiori comes on, Madueke comes on when Trossard had to go off. They're without Gyökeres as well. So Moreno played again up there. Odegaard came off the bench, but we've seen Eze perform very well in that number 10 position. And they're without Gabriel at the back. And I think whilst nothing's given out in November, clearly, there is a statement from Arsenal that they have all the tools this season. He's been given all the tools to succeed in the Premier League and make a big push for this Champions League. Now, it's very early, but there's nothing wrong with building confidence with victories like this. It's not going to do you any harm whatsoever, as long as you keep your feet on the ground. I thought Rice was brilliant again. Zubimendi was tidy in there. And listen, they're the real deal, Arsenal. It's whether or not they have the mentality to get over the line, particularly in this competition.
But what we're seeing, in contrast to last season, is the control they seem to have over games.
Yeah, control of the games. But the very best teams, when I was playing against Liverpool when they were the top side in the country, when teams have played against Man City over the last few years, when teams played against Barcelona, the top teams are difficult to play against in terms of when you get the ball, you've got no time, you can't find a pass. We've seen Bayern Munich, albeit in the Bundesliga, but even in the Champions League, create chances with ease, score goals with ease. They couldn't do that today because the intensity of Arsenal's pressing at the right time, dropping off at the right time, forcing Bayern into certain little areas where they can't then get out of those areas. That's the difference between the top sides and the sides that are just below it. At the moment, Arsenal are top side because they can create chances in several different ways, set plays being one of them, in general play as well, but they also are hard to play against. You don't see individuals have great games against Arsenal. You don't see teams outpass them very often. PSG did it last year in the semi-final, but they didn't do it at this time last year when they were beaten at the Emirates.
Jurgen, they're clearly a team that at the moment is just full of confidence in themselves.
Yeah, and they all gel. I mean, they all kind of, you know, they click and they are there for each other. And as Stuart says, it's the level of intensity, the level of aggressiveness that they have. You know, in every one-against-one challenge, they are ready for it. They are hungry. They are driven. They're really, really driven. And if you want to beat teams like Bayern Munich or the the PSGs and other top teams in Europe, then you need to have the edge physically over them, because obviously they're all technically and football-wise so gifted. They can always make a difference with an individual play or a set play or something like that. So where you want to have the edge over these teams, especially Bayern Munich that has been unbeaten until today this season, you need to have that physical approach. And that's what they did. I mean, the best example maybe is how they played Harry Kane. Harry could not even touch a ball. He could not even pass the ball nicely or something like that. He had to come back all the way in his own half to pick up a ball and to be part of the play, because they were all over him. There were always two guys on him. So they pulled literally the fun out of the game for Harry Kane. And so they did that with pretty much every player. And this is very, very impressive.
I think they obviously knew they could squeeze Harry Kane, because for all his great attributes, he's not going to run in behind. We saw a little clip of that. When he dummied, I think it was Saliba, and then within a couple of paces,
I think the commentator said left him in his wake. Well, he didn't quite do that, did he? Because he had to turn back in the end.
You know, he has many facets of his game that are brilliant, but pace is not one of them. So you could really squeeze him. And Jurgen's right; he was dropping away into his own half to try and get on the ball. And we used to see him do that for Tottenham quite a lot, and he'd start off these moves. You need to get runners to go beyond. Now, they did that for the goal. It wasn't Harry Kane, it was Serge Gnabry getting in behind. And that obviously caused Arsenal a problem, but they didn't do that enough. They didn't hit that diagonal enough over the top, and so they really didn't utilise, we didn't see the best of Elise today, we didn't see the best version of Gnabry, even though his pass for the goal was very good. And Arsenal dominated for the most part the middle of the park. I didn't think the initial goal was a free kick on Manuel Neuer, but you can add Bayern to the list of teams that struggled against Arsenal set piece today. There was maybe 3 or 4 at least in the second half.
Scrambles, weren't there?
Where it was scrambling in the 6-yard box and Neuer was coming, he wasn't getting there, or Moreno just missed a header by inches. And I know sometimes you think, I get sick talking about these Arsenal set pieces. And with Gabriel out, that's another,
Moreno should have scored a couple of goals with his head when he
should have done,
in.
but they're just, and I kind of sometimes think it takes away from their good play, but they're such a threat, and I don't think they're such a threat because they have this super duper set piece coach. They just are able to, they have people that can deliver the ball with a lot of pace and very flat into the 6-yard box. And when you do that, you don't give goalkeepers time, particularly when they're blocked, to come out and make a punch or a catch. So it's all about the delivery, and at the moment, Arsenal put on a better delivery from set pieces than any side I know in Europe.
Jurgen, how will this defeat be received in Germany, considering, as you say, Bayern undefeated going into this game?
Oh, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Obviously, it's a disappointment, but it's just a brief disappointment. They will go back to business in the Bundesliga. They will run through this season, and they're going to win this Bundesliga season. There's no doubt about it. No, they're going to take it just the way it is. It's not too much disappointment. They know that they are among the best in Europe with Arsenal. And obviously, they will discuss a little bit the weaknesses that they had today against Arsenal, especially on the set pieces that were just mentioned. And I think just when you talk about these set pieces and you know what's coming at you, and obviously Bayern Munich did their homework too, how do you defend it now? In the zone? Are you defending in a half zone, half man marking? Are you going forward? Are you attacking the ball? And all these elements. But what is so impressive from the Arsenal side is that their players, they are so determined, they are so alert when the balls are whipped in, and they're coming in with a lot of pace. So the delivery, as we said, is so crucial there. But it's just fantastic to see. I mean, you can take that as a lecture piece, for attacking set pieces, attacking corner kicks, because the way they attack the ball, the way they run into the ball, is very, very difficult to stop. And then they are physically, obviously, they have a presence and they can jump, and that's why they're successful with it. But it's fun to watch.
9 defeats in their last 12 matches for the Premier League champions as they lose to PSV by 4-1. Jurgen, this is unbelievable considering a side that came in, brought in those new faces. It looked like Arne Slot couldn't do anything wrong. Now he can't do anything right.
That's how fast it can go in football nowadays. Because even if you were super successful last season, doesn't mean you're going to be as successful in the next season. There's a lot to it. Obviously, we don't see the inside of the dressing room, what's going on in the locker room there in Liverpool. But obviously, right now they're in a mental hole. They are as a team, they're just vulnerable. They look fragile. They look scared going into one-against-one challenges, which is always the foundation of the game. And they're looking at each other and hoping that one of these guys, will pull them out there. But it's a collective effort that needs to happen within that group of players. Obviously, there are some leaders. Van Dijk is obviously the leader. But it's going to be very, very difficult over the next couple of weeks to turn it around and climb back up in the table of the league in the Premier League, and also to stay competitive in the Champions League.
Is it a borderline crisis, or is it a crisis?
It's a crisis. Yeah, it's absolute crisis.
There's a man in Philadelphia having his Thanksgiving. Scottish guy, actually, and he won't be having a very good
Mr.
one.
Nicol will not have enjoyed
tomorrow
that.
after this. Look, when you have players come into a club like Liverpool have in the summer, some of them are superstars like Wirtz and Isak, and they were huge money record transfers. So you expect a bit more from them. Okay, sometimes it needs a little bit of time. But when others come in, like Frimpong, who has been injured, and Kerkez, what you need is, when you're having a bit of a tough time, as these guys are, what you need for any club when you go there is your experienced players to put their arm around you and take the game by the scruff of the neck and lead. And what these players are having is a tough time. But the leaders that led for Liverpool and performed the best for Liverpool, the McAllisters, the Gravenberch, the Konatés, the Van Dijks, you can just add them onto the list that are all struggling.
Yeah.
And the Liverpool captain, and I keep saying this, is for all the mistakes Konaté makes, his mistakes are obvious ones. Van Dijk's are less obvious, I think, to a lot of people, but to us watching it sometimes, I think, what's he doing there? Why is he doing that? Why is he taking that position? And I saw him do it for... I saw him play particularly badly defensively for Holland and Warsaw as well. So it's not just a Liverpool thing. He's struggling. And when your experienced players are struggling, then it's very difficult for the younger guys that are making big moves. I mean, Kerkez is an international player, plays for Hungary, right? But he's still a young guy, and he made a big move from Bournemouth to Liverpool, to the champions. That can be daunting for a lot of people, and you really want your back four to be, and your teammates to be bailing you out and helping you. He's not getting that. They're all struggling. And it's difficult to see where Liverpool are going to arrest this slide.
Yeah.
It really is. I think Ekitike might have went off injured as well. We know Isak's had some injury issues. We know Salah's been ineffective. We know Wirtz has been ineffective and injured. And we highlighted all the other problems. They've got, on paper, they have a bit of an easy run domestically. But is there any easy run for Liverpool at the moment, Robbo?
Their confidence is so low now. And this is when you find out about your players. Not when they're winning games, not when they're winning the title. This is when you find out the good characters, the players that are willing to get on the ball still, the players that are willing to defend with urgency, the players that make good decisions, the players that get round the other players. Come on, we've got to do this, whatever it is, and sort of take it away from the manager slightly and take it back to the players. Because at the moment, I don't see that. And the one, and you just mentioned him, Virgil van Dijk's performances recently, in my view, have been shocking. Even when that run happened, he still said to Konaté, you should be coming across to block the run. He was miles away. He couldn't deal with that. So he's looking at other players all the time. And that's not the way a leader should be. So they've got major problems. And until they get a couple of results, the confidence will be drained further and further away from them.
But even Man City last year, when they fell off that cliff as champions, and they'd been champions for, 4 out of 5 years? Mm-hmm. So you could kind of understand, in a sense, that drive sometimes is difficult to go again. And they had the injuries, they lost Rodri, and they had some key injuries, and they didn't really beef the squad up in the summer. The surprise here for Liverpool is that they were so dominant last year, particularly in the first 6 or 7 months of the season, that the manager looked as if he had a handle on everything. And then they spent in the summer. They really beefed up the squad. They went out and they bought, on the face of it, they bought really good players. They bought some of the best players around Europe and England in their positions, and you thought, right, we all said it, Community Shield against Palace. We went, right, this is going to be interesting. Liverpool are going to pitch up at Wembley, big pitch, going to play Palace off the field, send a statement to the Premier League, and everybody else will be chasing their tail. And even from that day, 1 week before the start of the Premier League season, it was patently obvious that there was a lot of work needed to be done on the training ground. We saw the gaps that day between Kerkez and Van Dijk, and Palace really took advantage of it. But you thought, no, Liverpool will fix it. Too many good players, they've got a good manager, they'll fix it. Where are we? We're not that far off of Christmas. And he has no idea what the solution is to the issues that they have, and that is a huge worry for them.
Jurgen, take me into Arne Slot tomorrow at training. You've got West Ham at the weekend. How do you build this group's confidence up once again? How do you try and re-establish some sort of winning formula, considering what has passed over the last couple of months?
Well, that is the difficult task for every manager when you are in a negative spiral, and they are in a negative spiral right now. How to stop that and how to turn it around. You know, do you look deep into your roster, you look deep into your individual players, and you try to figure out why are they not performing at their usual level? Why do they not get the things right? You know, there are different ways. Obviously, some coaches, they go back on the training pitch and they overwork them on the pitch. Some say, you know, let's do less work on the pitch. Maybe just let's go out to the pub and have a couple of beers and get the spirit back. You know, it's a mental problem. It's a mental blockage that they have right now. That leads to the fact that they lose these one-against-one battles. They're always a step too late getting into these challenges, and they are not convinced of finishing things off. And maybe now they are all thinking, you know, oh, maybe we did it on big transfers in the summer window, and we have too many of those so-called future superstars in our roster, because at the end of the day, only 11 can play. So you have definitely 3, 4, 5, 6 guys on your bench that are used to always play, you know, and when they're on the bench, then they're not happy. So, you know, when things go well, everybody's quiet, you know, everybody's all right, you know, and nobody says a bad word. But when things go wrong, then you know, behind the scenes, you know, people talk to each other, players talk to each other, and that's what you have to stop now. This negative spiral, you got to somehow stop it, and I'm sure that he will try to do everything possible in his hands, and then you can come back only over wins, you know, and probably over a far more physical approach than they did recently, because they need to fight first and then play wonderful football.
Now you had a little giggle there when Jurgen said maybe go to the pub and have a few pints, and I know you were, you know, as sometimes people just have a laugh about, but I'm being serious now. That, you know, people might think, well, that was something that was done 20 years ago and 30 years ago, and it certainly was. But do you know what? Sometimes it's more. As Jurgen said, sometimes it's more than just dragging players onto the training field and slogging them to death about all the mistakes. And sometimes it is as simple sometimes as that camaraderie. And I know people laugh about it. You think, oh, you go out in a bonding session, you have a bit. But sometimes players need that. There's a pressure. There's a pressure. And when you're under that pressure, you need everybody to be together. And sometimes it's not double session on the training field and every day. Sometimes it is. You know, going for dinner and a few beers and chilling and chatting and talking about the problems and how you're going to solve it and getting those relationships again. Something to spark it, because whatever they're doing at the moment is not working. And you know, we do laugh about these things, but if you don't have the bonding and the dressing room and the camaraderie, you're screwed from the start. And Liverpool have to find something, whatever it is.
Jurgen suggested something. I think he's absolutely right. Liverpool won the title last year, and the players were very pleased with themselves. You know, we've won the title, and then they go and buy 4 or 5 players, and they think, hang on, why we won the title? Why are you buying him? So the player that he replaces is now a little bit unhappy, and the player that comes in at centre forward, you know, the centre forward that goes out, he's a bit unhappy as well, and they let 1 or 2 go. And there's a bit of jealousy that comes in. I've seen
Do you think so, Robert? Is it not a sense of this is going to make us stronger and better?
I've seen it happen many, many times when you buy. When Liverpool were at their very best many, many years ago, they had the best team. They'd buy 1 player that they might just improve, and he probably had to stay on the outside for 6 or 7 weeks before he got in the team. When you go and buy 4 or 5, it probably messes up the spirit of the team. The Van Dijks and the Salahs, well, why are we buying him? You know, we did so well last year. We had a great team spirit. This is going to spoil everything. And they will probably be blaming the new players. It's just not working.
But there weren't many new players on the pitch today.
No.
That's the thing, isn't it?
By now, the confidence is all gone. The animosity's there, maybe. The team spirit's gone downhill a little bit.
So when do we start opening the door to the conversation that he needs to go?
if you don't start seeing an improvement at some point,
Yeah.
the manager is under pressure. Of course he is.
The thing is, well, we looked at the upcoming games, didn't we? West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds.
Well,
And there's many managers that have won the title. Think of Ranieri, won the title with Leicester. You think, what a great job. Halfway through the next season, he's gone because the expectations are even higher.
I think Liverpool have a little bit more confidence in this guy than that, for sure. However, at the end of the day, it is all about results. He can just thank his lucky stars that they had this season last year, because had he come in and they'd finished in the top 4 and no better and got knocked out of every other competition, which they did, got knocked out the FA Cup to Plymouth when he made all those changes, which was really unnecessary, but that was his decision. If he didn't have that in the bank, I think he'd have been teetering.
You have to look at his old club for years. Ancelotti won the title. The next season it was gone. There was, I think the Brazilian, won the title. The next year, Mourinho won the title. He was gone the next year if they don't get results. Any manager that loses 7 out of 8 games or whatever it is going to be under pressure.
But I think he's at a club that are not historically known for making snap decisions. Certainly not. If you look back over the years, there's not really been a club, Liverpool, and I'm not suggesting we're at that stage.
No.
Well, no, but they're definitely struggling. There's no. I mean, if we go into the new year and they're sitting 14th in the league or something like that, then of course he's going to be under pressure to save his job because more questions will be asked. But the one thing certainly with Liverpool, and there are other clubs like it, but some clubs are very reactive. Liverpool historically haven't tended to be a reactive club. They've generally given their managers a bit of time to try and address the situation. And if a manager can't address it, like Roy Hodgson or Brendan Rodgers or whoever it was, eventually they'll fire him. So I think he's got a fair amount of time left, but somehow he has to be able to turn this ship around because it's sinking fast.
I feel this conversation will continue on tomorrow's show over some Thanksgiving dinner. Craig Burley in attendance, Robbo as well for you. Be sure to check it out. Of course, Europa League.
And the Europa Conference.
And the Europa Conference.
Lots of big games.
Big games.
No highlights.
Who will take home the match ball as his 4 goals seal the 3 points of Real Madrid. Jurgen's still with us. Jurgen, let's ask you a simple one to start with, shall we? Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe? Which one are you taking at the moment?
Well, I'm pleased for every striker when he gets his goals, but obviously Kylian today that was fun to watch, and he enjoyed himself. I mean, obviously we fans talk about Real Madrid, all the time, and we always wonder, how does Xabi Alonso fix all these issues with Vinicius Junior, with Mbappe, with all the other things, how to put the right players in the right spot. And it's all like we discussed about Liverpool before. It's man management. It's how to get the best out of the players, and hopefully they fit the best the way they were brought in. And at least today, Mbappe had his moments and is going home with another ball.
Just in case this gets clipped off.
Yes.
And Jan Fjotov sees it, I'm going to say Mbappe.
And then send it to Norway.
I tell you, well, he'll see it. I tell you who wasn't knocking on Alonso's door asking why he wasn't playing. It's Fran Garcia. What about that decision at the weekend?
Yeah, that was crazy. And of course, that sparked a lot of debate, Jurgen, in Spain about this relationship between Vinicius Junior and Xabi Alonso. Very different, obviously, managing Bayer Leverkusen to coming in to manage Real Madrid. Have these big stars, big contract talk, of course, very much under the spotlight. How do you deal with big names like that as a manager?
Well, it's very delicate. It's difficult. It's difficult for every manager, when you have superstars in your roster and they have their own egos and they're all alpha animals and you have to hopefully manage them or guide them the right way. You have to build a relationship and you have to spend time on that relationship. It's not easy, and it can make or break you. I mean, it's as simple as that. For you as a manager, you have the responsibility to choose the right captain that is on your side, that cleans up a lot of the issues in the locker room. Hopefully you choose the right one, but you have no guarantee before that. So before you don't go into that club, which Xabi Alonso goes into, even if he knows the club, but you go into that locker room, you have no real deep understanding of how all the characters function. You know, how they're getting along with each other. What are the little jealousy issues? You know, what are the groups of your players? You know, and then it's a learning curve. It's a big learning curve. Within a couple of weeks, months, you know, you figure out, okay, these guys hang out together. These guys hang out together. You know, I got them all hopefully on board. And then when maybe you lose a couple of games and the media play their part then into it and throw out some speculations and issues and arguments, then you find yourself as a manager in a spot that is very, very difficult to handle.
It just shows you, doesn't it, that you've got, we talk tactics, we talk about individual brilliance. It's also about team spirit and the group getting on and man management. You know, they're the things you can't see. You only see what happens on the field. But that's such an important and vital role for the manager to get right.
And of course, there was the story in the last few days that Alex Kirkland was on the show suggesting that, the rumour was that the players, whether it's true or not, had already started to turn against Xabi Alonso. I mean, you always sort of hear these things, particularly when, well, not always, but you generally hear these things when results are going against you. The problem is, and Jurgen was talking about, you're figuring your dressing room out, you're figuring the dynamic about players, but at Real Madrid, you have to figure it quicker, don't you? Yeah, because you just...
El Presidente, as Stevie likes to call him.
I saw that. And you just don't get that time at Real Madrid, and so you've got to make those decisions quicker. And he has made some big decisions, some positive ones since he's gone in there, but the ones that he made at the weekend in particular were head-scratching. You know, that team selection away at Elche, which was a tough game, and they got outplayed. And had he lost this one tonight, which they didn't, he'd have been under more pressure. But yeah, it's difficult, particularly with the dynamics and the player power at clubs like Real Madrid. Yeah. That's the difficult part.
Yeah, Jurgen, how difficult is that to deal with, where you almost are second-guessing yourself as a coach, knowing that, for example, dropping Vinicius Jr. in a game that eventually you'll draw, you know the scrutiny is going to be so intense from the media, from the fans and from the board?
Oh, it's very difficult because obviously you hope to have a positive relationship with every single player, which is pretty much not possible because there are 25, 26 players and 11 only play. So you have to make some uncomfortable decisions every game, you know, and so you don't have only friends. It's more the friends that play in starting 11 than the guys that sit on the bench. This is the one part. The other part is that you got to really figure out quickly, you know, what are the dynamics within the club, you know, of the media, your president, as you mentioned, the president or the board, you know, and how protected are you really with your philosophy? So Xabi Alonso, obviously, he presented a high pressure, a very aggressive, attacking-minded football in Leverkusen, and everybody bought in. Everybody worked against the ball as hard as they could. And there was no doubt about it that they kind of run their socks off. Now, this is not the football of Real Madrid. Real Madrid, you know, has these superstars and they want to play it their way. They don't want to run after the ball all the time. They want to have the ball all the time and then play with the ball. So this transition is a very difficult one because obviously he has to adapt to the way how things work at Real Madrid and how those players basically function in their own characteristics. At the same time, he wants to keep also a little bit of his own identity, meaning that was his brand or his way of playing it the 2 seasons before with Bayer Leverkusen very, very successfully. And this has to mold. But, you know, as Greg and Stuart say, for molding things together in a club like Real Madrid, you don't have no time. Yeah. You have simply no time. You know, you got to deliver results right away. You got to be on top of the table in Spain. You got to be on top with the other 5, 6, 7 big teams in Europe in the Champions League. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be a daily nightmare in the media and there are question marks all over the place.
Well, he's saving grace at the moment, I suppose, in some senses, is Mbappe, isn't it?
Yep.
You know, his numbers, his performances, that's at least giving him a chance.
And Barca are stumbling as well. The fact you're still top of the table, I think, obviously gives you a little bit of grace, doesn't it? If Barca were firing on all cylinders...
Yeah, you're not looking at Barca and going, well, they're going to be a tough nut to crack and they're going to win 12 games on the bounce because they've got their issues as well, clearly, defensively. So yeah, it's listen, there's nothing Xabi Alonso... I mean, I'm not talking about the dressing room, but there's nothing about the job in terms of the pressure he won't have known before he took it. Maybe he's been surprised by some things in the dressing room and the dynamics. And of course, it's not all his doing, because Vinicius Junior's, he's played a difficult character in the last 12 months.
Him and Ancelotti obviously had a public...
he wound up Ancelotti so much that Ancelotti was like, if you don't start working hard on the pitch here, I'm going to take you off. And when you're having to tell your star players to basically start running about, that's an issue. So he's a game changer, but he can be a really difficult character, and he's not getting it his own way with Real Madrid because he's not getting the money that he wants at this moment in time, and he's playing his cards, and Xabi Alonso is trying to play his own.
Xabi Alonso had a totally different job at Bayer Leverkusen because he took over when they were, I think, fourth bottom. So he had players that weren't playing particularly well, a team that wasn't doing very well, a crowd that weren't that expectant. So when he starts to get results, the players believe in this. This is, whatever we're doing is great. And they believed in it. They followed everything he did. He's gone to a club with excellent players, and now he's got to try and mould them into a team. And he's not really done the things he did at Bayer Leverkusen. We thought he was going to play with the three at the weekend with the players that were available, which he always seemed to do at Bayer Leverkusen. Still didn't go with it. He went Frank Garcia left wing. So strange.
We mentioned, of course, Barcelona's struggles. It was low, certainly, of the season, wasn't it? That defeat against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. And the manner of it, the front page of AS going with nightmare. Meanwhile, unrecognisable. Another front page that we saw across the board in Mundo Deportivo. Jurgen, you've been with us before. You've said you and Hansi Flick, you've got a lot of admiration for him. He doesn't seem to be able to fix this Barcelona defence at the moment. We're all sat here going, why does he keep going with this high line? Why doesn't he change things? Because he's giving every single team that he plays a chance.
Yeah, he loves to give the other teams chances, because he always thinks that he scores more than the opponents anyway. So he wants to end up with 5-4, 6-5 results, playing handball. But it's a little bit the same discussion also with Xabi. Xabi has his philosophy, and Hansi Flick has also his philosophy. Now he's trying to kind of get that together at a club at Barcelona, a massive club as well, like Real Madrid, and hopefully he finds the perfect formula for it. But it is risky. It is risky, and we coaches discuss that often and say, why do you put that line so high? Like Bayern Munich today at the third goal that they conceded with Arsenal. Why are you playing it so deep into the opponent's half? But Hansi is convinced that sooner or later it will click and they will avoid more goals. And until that's not the case, then he's convinced that they score more goals than they concede. But it is it's highly risky. Absolutely, I agree with you.
But when they did it last year, it was risky. But they did it kind of 7 or 8 out of 10. So they did it pretty well.
Yes.
Now you can
there were exceptions. Inter, obviously.
You can look at some of the games and think, well, why are these teams not getting runners from deep? And why they came out. Their unit was a pretty straight back line coming out. It came out in unison and it worked well. So you could say it was 7 or 8 out of 10, certainly in domestic football in Spain. This year they've tried the same thing, and at most you're going to give it a 2 or 3 because it's been all over the place. You got centre halves coming out and full backs in deeper. They're rushing out at the wrong time. They're rushing out on the halfway line when teams are literally on the halfway line, and it's been hard to watch. I mean, it's been sometimes you watch a game coming in from Spain, and you're like, did I just see that?
Yeah. Is this the defending champion?
The Celta Vigo game that Robbo did, in particular, the 1-2 in the halfway line in the first half, was just Stevie just walked in at that point and went, "That's comedy capers."
There you are. And that's coming from
Keystone Cops was his words.
Keystone Cops. hey, listen, they're not out the title race anyway.
Robbo, by the way, is on his travels yet again this weekend because you're going to Real Madrid against Girona. Robbo?
No, I'm not going to that one.
No.
I'm doing the Seville-Betis game.
Oh, I thought you were going to the game.
Darky and Macarrig are doing that one.
Oh,
I'm then going to Barcelona and Bilbao.
Well, I would imagine you're really looking forward to Seville.
Yes, Barcelona and Bilbao next week.
PSG then with a 5-3 victory over Spurs. Let's speak to a former Spurs player, shall we? Jurgen's still with us. Jurgen, where do you want to start on this?
Well, I think it was a highly entertaining game. Obviously, 8 goals, and it was a good game. It was from both sides a good game. I think Spurs the first half looked sharp. They looked like they believed actually in winning in Paris that match. They played well. They were supported well up front. I mean, Richarlison and Colomboigny had both a really good game, and they were supported by the midfield in many occasions. in a good way. They pressured high in many occasions in the first half. So it looked good, it looked strong, and then I think, Paris Saint-Germain took it up another level the second half, and especially Vitinha. Vitinha controlled the midfield, and he was the decision maker all over the place, and make the difference.
I mean, it is the European champions who finished the season with some aplomb last year, just blowing everybody away. They haven't quite been that side this year.
You feel they're
still missing one or two players.
Yeah, they've been missing some players, and they were missing some players again today. And you just feel Luis Enrique's team just build up to it. And in some sense, maybe Bayern will be the same after that defeat to Arsenal. When it gets to the knockout stages, that's when you really see these clubs coming to the fore. But from Tottenham's perspective, he's searching for answers to what's his best combinations. He's been criticised for going the opposite way too far from Postecoglou. They've been very defensive. Their away record up until the weekend at the North London Derby, their away record was excellent because they were defensively strong. But he struggled to find a balance between having that defensive stability, Thomas Frank that is, and utilising their better, more flair players going forward. I think we saw a little bit more of that tonight, as Jurgen said, away from home. Because apart from the Richarlison goal at the weekend from the Zubimendi mistake, they offered literally nothing going forward. At least in Paris tonight, they've scored 3, it was competitive, and they had a chance of winning this game. That's a small crummy comfort, I think, for Thomas Frank.
When you're a new manager, you've got to also win over the home fans. And they've had 2 or 3 really poor performances at home. Bournemouth, where they were completely outplayed and so open. And against Chelsea, because that's a big game for Tottenham, the game against Chelsea. And Chelsea completely outplayed them. So there's 1 or 2 games at home where the crowd have booed and they've got onto the manager a bit. They're the dangerous games for Thomas Frank, those ones at home.
What have you made of Thomas Frank's tenure so far in charge of Spurs, Jurgen?
No, positive. I think he's trying to find the right formula. He's trying to find the right path. And he's open to it. He's open to change his ideas and melt them into the identity of the club. And the club's identity of Spurs is attacking-minded football. That is what Spurs is about. The Spurs fans, they want spectacle. They want goals. They don't want to defend too much. They rather win 4-3. A little bit Hansi Flick philosophy. and I think he's trying to find his own path in that process. And obviously with a couple of negative results now. But what I saw today was actually promising. I saw today a team that was willed to pressure the opponents high up the field. I think they struggled a bit more when they actually defended too deep. Because when they defend too deep and we have 8-9 players around your box or even in the box, then nobody is responsible anymore for stepping up and blocking a shot, because everybody thinks, okay, we have so many players behind the ball will not come through. And that's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong thinking. And but I think so far, is working hard on finding the right path and the best way to meld himself with the club's identity and the club's philosophy. And I hope for him that it works out.
Good man, Jurgen. Thank you very much. Big Thanksgiving plans tomorrow in the Klinsmann household?
No, all easy here in California, as long as the sun shines.
Yeah,
all good.
What a life, well done, mate.
Struggling.
What a life, eh? What a life, yeah.
Hey, we're stuck with Robbo with the double trip.
Yeah,
We'll be here tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Jurgen. Much appreciated. Just a reminder, plenty of reaction to what we've seen in the Champions League over on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to ESPN FC.
What have I done to deserve this?
What?
Let me tell you, the double trip went on a good tune
coming
tomorrow.
Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Robbo's here. How are you, Robbo? How's your trip so far?
It's very good. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. Seeing you in good health.
Yeah, I know. We're doing well, aren't we?
Nice white eyes.
Thank you very much.
It's the first thing you looked at when you came in.
Mind you.
Right, let me see your eyes.
Yeah, there we are.
As you said to him earlier, I'm not sure why his illness means he can't shave.
Well, there's a lot going on.
He's got a little bit of leeway. I mean, I'm not unshaven myself.
Yeah, but...
There you are. Sorry, Robbo. And I'm wearing sweatpants, which you weren't happy with.
I wasn't happy with that. Your standards have gone. Completely gone.
Hold on. He never had any standards.
That's true.
I saw his wardrobe upstairs. He's got a lovely little wardrobe.
That was
upstairs.
Craig's you were sniffing around in.
I'm sniffing around there. It was open, a door open.
He was having a little look.
There's some nice jackets.
Hanging
there.
about the ladies' toilets again, is he?
That's from yesterday, by the way, not...
Did you have a little look in Stevie's closet, did you?
Has he got a closet?
Yes. He's got some lovely jackets in there, hasn't he?
Stevie was telling me he's bought 3 pairs of the same shoes because they're so comfortable.
What, different colours or just the same?
Exactly the same thing.
What, the black?
So when one runs out...
Oh, he's got the other
He's got another one ready to go. Can Stevie FaceTime in? Is the first question, obviously, to reflect on Liverpool's defeat.
I wonder if he managed to walk back. I know the answer to that. He's probably travelling.
No, he's there, because he drove down yesterday. He's in Philadelphia for Thanksgiving with 46 other people.
Oh,
that's a lot.
All family?
Well, yes, I believe so.
Must be a big house.
But the in-laws and things. Craig, do you potentially see Arsenal winning it all this season? They have no weaknesses, have the squad depth, etc. This person's concerned if it's a good question or not after your breakdown yesterday about the Estevan.
Well, I watched
Lamine
it out.
Yamal.
I watched it out. They were trying to wind me up, and they succeeded.
Yeah, they did.
But his initial reaction isn't sort of disgust, is it? So I think he's going to answer this question.
No, I was in need of a good rant yesterday in that question.
Well, save something for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm excited about tomorrow's show. When all, I mean, what's that? You know.
So I suppose they do the double. Can they do the Champions League and the Premier League?
Well, they can.
Well, that's not all, is it? FA Cup?
Oh, shut up, Robbo. You know
You've got to talk about
They can, but I think it's unlikely.
Right.
And I honestly think...
Likely they win the Premier League, yeah?
Yes,
That's fair.
I honestly think for them, as important as the Champions League is for people, that it's been so long, the Premier League for them, and they've been so close in the last 2 or 3 years that really...
Yeah, but they've never won the Champions League. Like, what a statement that is.
You want to be top of your... I asked Maka this a year or two ago about Real Madrid, and he said, first and foremost, La Liga. Bread and butter. And I think that for Arsenal.
But if you can be part of an Arsenal team that's achieved something the club has never done...
Well, they could do both, but, you know...
Of all the other teams, who's actually... Bayern Munich are the closest to them at the moment. Which other team? PSG. But PSG have had some bad results.
Yeah, but PSG have got that experience, as we're saying. They can work through the gears. Yeah. You know, they were so good last season.
So we're talking about 3 teams that are possible winners, because Real Madrid at the moment, apart from Mbappe, are not playing well. We've talked about Barcelona being way too open. They're going to have bad days. Inter haven't got enough, I don't think, going forward to be a...
Well, Inter lost today.
Yeah, they lost today, and they lost at the weekend against Milan, I know, in the league. But I don't think they're going to be challenging for it. So Arsenal have got every chance of doing the double.
I mean, it's not a bad question.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a good question. It's not a bad question.
Robbo, have the Liverpool players gone out to get Slot sacked? Or is it just that they've lost their mojo after the tragedy that befell their teammate?
Well, I can't answer that one, but what I can answer is that they have lost their confidence completely, and they might have lost the confidence in the manager's tactics, but they've lost their own confidence. You know, we talk about... And when you lose confidence, it takes you an extra second to think.
Right.
You don't play naturally. And that's what's happened to the likes of Van Dijk, because he's not seeing the danger and people are running beyond him. Kanate now, when he's making interceptions, he's worried he's going to make a mistake like he did tonight. The midfield players aren't sure whether to press the ball or drop off, so they're getting played around.
Once again, anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous. And that was always the danger when everyone said, "Oh, you just got to give him what he wants." You know, but remember, he's another year older. He's one of his main attributes is his pace. If he loses that half a yard of pace, he isn't the same player.
You're not one to give credit easily, Robbo.
Yes.
But can you give Arteta some credit for the way he's handling his substitutes?
Yes. I mean, he's got a much bigger squad and better squad, so he can handle his substitutes a lot better. And he can pick and choose the right time to play and rest players. You know, we've seen Declan Rice being rested on occasion. He's, an outstanding player. Calafiori's been excellent, but didn't play today. And Lewis Skelly, I think, struggled at times against Elise tonight, but he came on at the right time, created the goal. So, Arteta, I don't like some of his antics on the side of the pitch, but in terms of his team, his tactics at the moment, and the way he's got the stadium rocking, he's done a great job.
Rocking.
Craig,
when will it be time for Ange Ball at Liverpool? If we
I
look,
think his race is run.
Who would we obviously, if this continues, we're going to have a conversation about Slot's future.
I think in the new year.
But then who would that be? Who would that person?
I don't think Liverpool. We talked about this on the live show. Liverpool haven't generally been a reactive club, so I don't think we'll be talking about it very soon.
But there has to be a reaction, doesn't there? If you lose 7 out of 8 games in the league, whatever it is, 6 out of 7.
But say Slot quits tomorrow, who do you bring in?
Oh, whoever's available, you've got to find someone who's available first. It's a difficult. Yeah,
There isn't. This is Europe.
No,
I'll tell you what, the old names will rise back up again. Like,
Well, Klopp will rise up inevitably.
Steven Gerrard.
But I don't think they'll.
But I'm just saying that'll be, you know, some former players. Klopp's name will be back in the ring, but he left because he was drained of that day-to-day running of the club. 8 years or whatever it was, 9 years, which is a lot. So I think that is unlikely.
What about Stephen Nicol?
Well, I'm up for that.
That would be the.
I mean, I can see him stood in the touchline there with that green
With
shirt
his big
on,
shoes.
with the green sign, the big black shoes, 2 spare pair, just in case those one.
Can you imagine when a goal goes in? He'd go like that with no idea. What am I going to do now?
Face like a tomato, getting redder by the second,
Getting angry, losing it with journalists.
shouting at Kerekes, getting it all wrong, and Slobozlai,
And what would he call the goalkeeper?
Kamadavili. Oh, it'd be we'd love to be a fly in the wall. Right, you, Slobozlai. Who's that?
For CB, please help us understand why Celtic fans think they're an elite club. They're getting a great new manager, and somehow supporters think they are way above him. What's this story?
Well, the story is, not that I'm following it, but our colleague Jeff Carlisle messaged me a week or two ago saying that Celtic were going to be getting Wilfred Nancy from one of the MLS clubs.
Okay.
French manager who apparently has done very well. And Celtic have sort of headhunted him, so that has either happened or it looks like it's going to happen. I don't know the backstory to the fans. I don't know if the fans are in uproar about it or what. I don't know. I don't know what the reaction has been to this news, so I can't really answer that. But I can tell you that Celtic and Rangers fans always feel that they should be getting the creme de la creme, and if the truth be known these days is that
Right.
it's, you know, they're not spending enough money to bring in the top managers, and so yeah, they're looking at people who. I mean, I was surprised Brendan Rodgers went back there, but anyway, they've gone for this French fella. But fans are fickle anyway. All he needs to do is get a few results, and they'll be on his side. But trust me, going to Scotland, they're a hard crowd to please. Very hard crowd to please.
Not that I'm not interested, but we go back to a previous one. Iraola, if Liverpool sack their manager.
Oh, you think so?
Iraola would be a good show.
Yeah, definitely.
And if they wait long enough, Xavi Alonso will probably get the sack at Real Madrid,
Yeah,
and he can
and
go
get
to
in
Liverpool. There's two names.
Only took 10 minutes. Well done, Robert.
Yeah,
Good.
took me a little time. I had to think
why you were quiet.
It took me. I was having a little think about that.
Final question, Robbo. Which of your fellow panellists gets to be the lucky duck to host you for Thanksgiving, Dan or Craig?
None.
I invited you and you
I blanked you. Yeah. I've
blanked
got somebody
me.
higher up the chain to go to.
Oh, that's fair enough. Yes.
Yeah.
That's not difficult.
No, not difficult. But
No.
I went to your Thanksgiving.
You've been to a few Thanksgivings.
No, only one.
Oh, okay.
A few years ago, where
right. One was
I
enough.
upset your son.
Yeah,
you had just had a dog, hadn't you? If I remember rightly.
I just had a dog.
And you got a
I still have a dog.
What do you mean he gave birth to a dog?
Yeah, I think he did.
It's strange.
It was a small dog.
Put you off for Thanksgiving dinner.
It was a nice Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
You only come. Do you always? I can't remember, but is this a normal time of the
No,
year?
it's only the second time I've come on Thanksgiving.
There we go.
Well-
what are you doing for Thanksgiving tomorrow?
Not a lot.
You'll have a dinner though, won't you?
In my head, though.
Maybe a dinner at the Burley household?
Well, there might be dinner. Whether I'm getting it.
Well, yeah.
So will you have it at lunchtime, or do you have it in the evening? When do you have the Thanksgiving dinner?
I'll tell you tomorrow. It's a big day tomorrow.
When do you have the dinner then?
We'll have it in the afternoon. As you're not coming, we won't wait. We'll just do it in the
yeah,
afternoon
fine.
now. Get it out of the way.
Yeah, all right.
All right?
Yeah.
Good.
Big day tomorrow, Rob. We'll get an early night tonight. Conference.
Yep. What big games are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Shamrock Rovers. I've always been a fan of
They're
theirs.
playing Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
There we are. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Lausanne playing.
Yep. Thank you very much, Craig.
They're playing.
ESPN FC then back
Celtic
tomorrow.
are playing Feyenoord.
Oh,
that's a
Connect's
good
gonna be
game.
in charge.
There's a connection there.
Okay.
The former Celtic manager, the late Wim Jansen, was a big star at Feyenoord back in the day.
That would have been a massive game many years ago, wouldn't it?
I'm saying nothing.
Okay, well, there we go.
Why is there no music playing?
I've got music.
I've got music as well.
I've switched it.
That's it.